been someone shine. But till I see the rise, still I stop. I want to dedicate this one to all the beautiful women in the world, whether creed, race, color, class, because this is for everybody, ain't it? I want to dedicate it to this special lady here. Come, Mr. DJ. Someone shine, until I see the rise, still I had to try. Oh yes, let me get my words right and then approach. Woman, I treat you like a man is supposed to. You never have to cry. I know anyone could relate to when they find that special someone. What?
She's loyal, so loyal. Good evening, New Source family. How are you doing? All you remember that anniversary special? All you remember that under the People's Partnership, every year they celebrated the anniversary of their victory. So they would have won in 2010. And 2011, they would have had their first anniversary celebration, and that would have been in Mid-Center Mall. And this was the second anniversary celebration in 2012, and they held it in Tobacco Old Market Square. Now, one of the things that I remembered that had annoyed me significantly about these anniversary celebrations, one, because of course they were purely masturbatory. Because you're coming to stand up in front of the country and basically spend money to say, we win. And nobody could say where the money was coming from to pay for these victory celebrations. But then you also had the pappy showing of people, the appropriating, the use of black cultural creations, cultural creativity generally to pappy show the black public, to give this whole impression that the United National Congress was being all embracing, when there were a number of things that it was doing by that point in time that would have been a clear violation of people who look like me. Because the state of emergency would have happened by the point in time this celebration took place. The firing of a number of persons in various state organizations because they were perceived to be PNM, which is code for being black, that would have taken place as well, right? Especially in national security. So I remembered that Sugar Aloes had done this rendition of Taurus Riley's song, She's Royal. And me and Tech Guy was throwing around ideas, and he was like, well, we had to say that she's loyal. The ways in which she has done things between 2010 and now, that has pretty much made the People's National Movement the only party that many of us feel that we could vote for. And I'm not just saying that based on my personal opinion. The statistics from the 2015 elections, actually, let me go back. The stats from the 2013 general elections. The statistics from the St. Joseph by-elections. What was the other by-election? Right, well, certainly the St. Joseph by-elections. The statistics from the 2015 general elections, the statistics from the 2016 and 2019 local government elections, And then, of course, this stats from the 2020 general elections. In all of those instances, people still continued to vote for the People's National Movement, as upset as they were with choices made by the People's National Movement, because they didn't feel that they could trust the United National Congress. And so, remembering that, I say, well, I had to play this for you, but you know, I even give Tech Guy Poster enough of a play this evening, right? So that is my boy Poster. So, and the Poster, all in all, last week was the PNM 67th anniversary celebrations, and they would have had it at Napa. And so this is Tall Boss, political leader of the People's National Movement, giving Kamla Persad-Bissessar her long service award because she is going to remain in opposition for life. But let me jump the gun. I have plenty for me to discuss. And I need to say hello to all of you, because I have a fair number of you on YouTube. Most of the hellos I'm seeing here are from YouTube, but I'm also seeing people on Facebook. So let me go back up to the top and say hello, because of course I had people who were locked in before 7 o'clock. So Rosamond Rose, Angus Joseph, Veronica George, Leon Graves, Pamela Archer, Gail Jack, Carol Frontin the Pizza, Daryl Akong, Point Kumana Sharon, Wayne Wolf, Mary James, Renee Lewis, Sharon Griffith, Paula Barrymon, oh good, Mr. Cello, Barbara Jenkins, Janelle Speth Brown, Donna Jack Murray Shaw. Donna, you have plenty hyphens in that last name, yes? So Donna Jack Murray Shaw, Daniel Frederick, who else? Carla McIntyre, Alicia Allman, DeRoche. Good evening to all of you, and thank you so much for joining me. There are lots more people on the live this evening, and yes, I'm pretty certain we're going to have some higher numbers this evening, because of course we're talking about tanti-cams, and you know, people get sensitive when you talk about tanti-cams. I was actually thinking, well, which song to start off with. I mean, I eventually decided on She's Royal, but I mean, there were a couple other songs that were in the running. Yes, hi Sagittaire. Good evening to Pan Beaters United FC. Yes, I would say I'm the captain of Pan Beaters United FC, and I'm proud to have all of you on my team. So, where are we going to start? We had to start, of course, with the good news. And there was a lot of good news this week. This week was one of those weeks where it kick off with good news, as a matter of fact. Hey, Kareem, you're rich. And you start off with your worthlessness. You're in full support of anti-cams for political leader. I am in full support of anti-cams to be opposition leader for life. I think if that is a position that you could vote for, opposition leader for life, I could be first at the polls. But we getting into that in a little bit. I want to talk about the good news first. So there's a range of good news. The first piece of good news that I'm going to talk about, this is not the first piece of good news for the week, but the first piece of good news I'm going to talk about, somebody sent me to this front page. While worthless, so men send me this front page. Cool. You ain't see thing. I say, well, hold up. Number 1, thou shalt not toy with my emotions. I'm not letting all you toy with my emotions. 2, this is Sunshine. And while Sunshine is known to put out headlines that eventually have some measure of truth to it, I ain't going to rush it. There is a whole police investigation taking place. Let the investigation happen. But the story that accompanied this front page was clearly setting up to create a significant amount of sympathy for any potential arrests. So if anybody eventually gets arrested, and let me tell you something, I have already promised people that if this arrest take place, I am going to have to do a headstand and wine on my head. You know why? Because I remember what year it was, boy. The year the pandemic start. In 2020, a man who was in a position of commanding almost 7,000 civil servants here issued an instruction to a deputy person, and that deputy person issued an instruction to another individual and tell that individual, go and arrest she for this reason, some trumped up reason. Put she in handcuffs and make sure you tip off the media so that she in handcuffs could make the front page of the papers. All you understand the level of abuse of public resources and public power that is, when you have no evidence, no reason, no premise on which to lock up somebody, but you would issue an instruction, go and lock she up and make sure you tip off people so that way she could be in handcuffs on the front page of the papers. So let me tell you something. I just suffer from bad vertigo, right? So like I can't just bend down and pick up things just so. If I bend down and pick up things just so, I had to stand up for a little bit to catch myself. But you see me, this quank will figure out how to stand up on she head and do a wine if he end up in bracelets. Me in line. If I tell all you, I go in and figure out how to do that, I go in and figure out how to do that. Because if it wasn't for certain upstanding members of the TTPS, and I could name them now, although I won't, because the person is now a retired police officer. But this police officer, before he was retired, the instruction came to his desk. And when the instruction came to him, he said, this isn't legal. What you are attempting to do here is illegal and could put you in problems. This is one officer saying this to the officer who was going to carry out the order. So that's how I know about it. Because the officer who eventually advised the other officer to not do this told me, made contact with me and told me this was supposed to happen. And told me around the time when it was supposed to happen. Well, you remember when I was doing a live and talking about bullet clock hours? Right. It was around the time of bullet clock hours, right? Around them months, so that period. So when I was told this, I said to myself, I wonder how many other people have ended up in a situation where police reach and bang down the door and looking to arrest them without actual legal reasons for coming to arrest them. So when I hear about raids and interventions and detentions, I am always very, very cautious before I jump to any conclusions. Because I know I was one police officer away from being arrested in this country with no grounds for arresting me. One police officer. If that police officer was not on duty that night, because here the plan was arrest she, and arrest she in such a way that I would have no choice but to spend at least 3 days in police custody answering questions. So you need to grasp that it is very possible in this country to abuse power and for innocent people to end up being at the mercy of the state. And so that's why police reform is something that I believe very passionately in, because all of them things could have happened to me. All of them things could have happened to me, right? So when homeboy beating him out all over the place and want to be carrying on like he is the victim of a crime, when in truth and in fact he is under investigation for possibly having committed crimes, right? He ain't no victim of no crime. He is under investigation. And yes, correct. Very North Korea behavior. That's the kind of foolishness that was going on under him. That is the kind of foolishness. And he would have people jumping up on social media, bad-mouthing me, saying all kind of things about me, when I knew for a fact from a police officer that that's what he had ordered. For a fact from a police officer. You had one of your DCPs give instructions. Listen, well, you feel this tongue easy, this tongue ain't easy. But this was the first piece of good news. I see the headline, I laugh. And I laughed because I understand that half the reason he's so quiet and subdued these last couple weeks is that police officers who are under investigation for the FUL dropping like flies. They're being charged, they have questions to answer. And I feel quite certain that he will have some questions to answer as well. Whether or not he'll be arrested remains up to the TTPS. But if the other officers have to go to court, there's a possibility that Gary will be subpoenaed to answer questions. Because if they're answering questions about FUL activities, because he was the commissioner of police at that point in time, he is going to have to step forward and explain what did or didn't happen under him. Punto final. So he has questions to answer. Whether it is as a suspect, whether it is as somebody who is charged, or as a material witness. Nigel boy, I know a large section of the country still love him, and they're entitled to do what they want to do with their love and to love whoever it is they want to love. That's their business. Me, I know only too well why I don't trust Griffith in any position of power in this country. So that was that. The next piece of news was that Soca Monarch is cancelled. So you might ask, Baroda, how you could be happy that Soca Monarch cancelled, because Soca Monarch is part of our culture. So, I'm going to say this. Soca Monarch is a show. Soca Monarch is an event. Soca Monarch is a promotional competition that was putting money in specific people's pockets. Soca, however, is our culture, and soca existed before Soca Monarch, it existed during Soca Monarch, and it will exist after Soca Monarch. Soca ain't going and dead. And there are lots of different ways for private promoters and for the state, through whether it's the NCC or whoever, to figure out how to package a show surrounding soca and put that show out there without it being rigged, without it having grift and corruption and money ending up in the wrong people's pockets. And that is my issue with Soca Monarch. When you understand, and the thing is, you ain't had to be behind the scenes to understand. From 2011 to 2015, because I can't count 2010. Carnival 2010 would have happened under the People's National Movement. From 2011 to 2015, we saw Soca Monarch's expenditure balloon. It went from NLCB, B-Mobile, Ministry of Culture sponsoring Soca Monarch to NLCB, B-Mobile, I think 1 year there might have been Digicel, and about 8 different government ministries, down to Office of the Prime Minister, was proud sponsors of International Soca Monarch. Now, where was that money going? Because there's only some money was going to artists. The rest of the money was ending up somewhere else and being pocketed somewhere else. And when you're promoting something as culture, you need to start asking yourself, what in this competition or what about this competition was actively helping soca to grow, to improve, to become better? Because the prize went from 1 million to 2 million. Me a vex with people for getting better prize money. But were we getting better caliber soca music? Were we getting better caliber performances and artists? How exactly was it helping the art form to improve? Because when you want to come and talk and say, this we culture, right, as in the show, Soca Monarch is we culture, then you need to show me how Soca Monarch was improving soca music. So there are a couple things that I think needs to happen for soca music to be improved. And a competition that the state funding, that a private promoter pocketing the majority of the money for, is not one of them. Maybe another time I will sit down here and talk about what kind of expenditure does go into things like that. But let me tell you something. You see, when it comes to carnival, generally as a festival, tent and toilet does make more money than artists. So if you throw in an event, you spending more money behind tents, toilets, and security than you are spending behind artists. Take what I'm telling all you. Right? Take what I'm telling all you. So the grift that I talking about is not the artists and them. I want me to feel that I saying is the artists and them that involved in any scam. Where the money was going was not to the artists and them. Them was getting crumbs in comparison to what other aspects of the competition was getting. So, me vex that Soca Monarch gone. As a matter of fact, I think that the next thing that needs to die a natural death is Chutney Soca Monarch. We need to stop spending money behind Chutney Soca Monarch, because that's another competition where the artists and them getting some money, yes, the art form not really benefiting from the competition, and the promoter making hototo money off the competition. He making more money than everybody else, pocketing state funds and pretending that he is putting on a competition for the art form. And no, that is not the case, right? That's not the case. So that's that. Soca Monarch. Next piece of good news. I still have to go and look for the figures. These figures are online, by the way. So it's not figures that pulled out of thin air. They're online. The CSO has put it up. So apparently, for the second quarter of 2022, our GDP grew by 6.6%. Our real GDP grew by 6.6%, which is a good sign for the economy. It means that there is turnaround taking place. Now, when we're talking about GDP there, we're not just talking about the energy sector. We're also talking about the non-energy sector, right? So the manufacturing sector, agriculture sector. So there is data produced by the CSO that shows that there was even more growth to real GDP in the second quarter of 2022 than we were aware of. So I saw that. I thought that was important. I thought I would throw it out here and, make of that what you will. So yes, I felt that was good news. Now, the next good news I'm going to talk about is the good news that kicked off the week, because the GDP thing came towards the end of the week. But this is how our week starts. I don't know how many of you know that the energy conference, the energy chamber had their annual energy conference this week. It kicked off on Monday and it ran for 3 days. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Now, that energy conference invariably sets the tone for what happens with our energy sector here. It gives you a sense of what's happening, who are the movers and shakers, who going to be doing more of the big drilling, and also what direction energy is going in. And I can tell you that while there was a significant amount of talk about oil and gas, other kinds of energy, sustainable energy, renewable energy was also on the table, and discussions were taking place where that was concerned. So I feel there is a need for me to get the Minister of Energy to come on, to agree to come and do an interview with us if he, will find the time, and also to get in touch with the president of the Energy Chamber. I think it's still Dax Driver, Dr. Thackeray Dax Driver. So I'm going to try and get in contact with the head of the Energy Chamber and see how things could go with respect to an interview there. Right, so the piece of good news, Dragon Gas. So Monday, I forget there is something that I needed to put up and I forget to put it up. So all you watch this Dragon Gas thing just for 2 seconds and let me find this image, because this is a very important image. And it's an important image because it's linked to what it is we're going to talk about here. Oh my goodness, who had sent that to me? Right, let me find it. I can't believe I forget to put this up here. I want licks. I really want licks. Somebody go ahead and come and give me licks. Right. Boom. I had to show it on something else. Right. Give me a second. I'm going to pull that up on a different screen because I can't throw it up on this here right now. It will cause too much backs. Right. Just now. Right. Move you. Whoop. Right. So, this was the state of our parliament on Monday. So Monday, the finance bill being read. I'm going to repeat that. Monday, in the people parliament, in we parliament, the finance bill was being read. And the finance bill being read on Monday, there would have been a number of amendments and things to do with taxes and expenditure. So the finance bill being read, it being dealt with. And that we're seeing here, that was the state of the opposition bench. Now remember, Friday evening, after Kamla Prasad Bissessa get bowl out with them 3 votes, them 3 missing votes, them 3 spoiled ballots. Remember, the first thing she said is she's going to be holding the office of the president in check, holding him to account. And she put in country before party. This is how the opposition was putting country before party on Monday. So when I saw this on Monday, I put up a post. I said, but this is how did they show up for work? Because it had nothing else people actually asking the opposition to do. And this is part of their job description. This is part of what they're being paid for, the actual pay package. This is what they're supposed to be doing when it comes to their job description. So the parliament was almost empty. And that's how I knew there was a huge rift. There was really a huge rift inside the UNC. Now, real people was denying it and telling me, no, it had no problems, it had no issues. But when I saw what was going on here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, only 5 persons from the 19 MPs that they have showed up in Parliament. And then outside of Parliament, the energy conference was taking place. And I was being told that there was plenty movement taking place at the energy conference. So when I heard that, I said, well, when you say movement, is it at the opposition there? I think Rushton Parry might have been there, but I don't know who else from the opposition might have been there. But there was a lot of energy at the energy conference. And there was this sense that something big was going to go down with respect to Guyana, Suriname, Trinidad, and Tobago. So when I saw the press release from OPM saying that the Prime Minister was going to have a press conference at around, 4:30 that day, I said, boy, it had to be something to do with energy. Have to be something to do with energy. So I was not surprised to see that there was something as big as this. Now, the Dragon gas deal is big for a number of reasons. And let me explain why this deal is so big. And I'm doing it in layman's terms. So if you're in the energy sector, don't try to come for me, right? With this deal going back on stream, it means, because we're not necessarily going to be refining or anything like that, because we don't have a refinery. But all of the downstream industries we have, methanol, ammonia, LNG, because they are going to need gas. And they have to purchase gas to be able to do all of the work that they are doing with processing ammonia, methanol, and I forgot what's the third thing. That's how we're going to make money. The anticipation is that within about 1.5 years, we ought to be seeing returns from this. And so that means that the economy is preparing itself for much needed lifeblood to flood into it. So this is like a transfusion. So let we say something wrong with your platelet count or your blood count. So let we say the iron in your blood low and you need blood, and overnight a whole bunch of people send in blood donations to you. That's what this is. This is a much needed donation of blood, iron rich, oxygen rich blood into the economic system. So when this take place, I say to myself, well, pressure, because who Kamala going and write to? Because right off, on the heels of this, came the announcement from the United States ambassador to Trinidad and Tobago. So we know sanctions boss, Rudal Munilal, have nobody to write to. Kamala had nobody to write to. They can't now go and complain to the government of any other country to say, well, look, Trinidad and Tobago dealing with and have diplomatic relations with Venezuela. This situation here with the Dragon gas deal, on the heels of the senatorial appointment of Richie Sukai, on the heels of the presidential nomination of Christine Kangaloo, has the United National Congress scared. And that is going to take me in to the next segment of this program. So that's the good news. The economy has been doing better, And based on the clinching of this deal, and it would have taken years to work on this, because it's been years that there have been sanctions on Venezuela, and it's been years that the United States and Venezuela have pretty much been at loggerheads with each other. So we can't pretend that the geopolitical situation has not had an impact on us. We also can't pretend that the change and shift in that geopolitical situation has not directly fed into this deal becoming what it has become. But we also need to acknowledge the importance of the role that our government played in recognizing and respecting the sovereignty of all parties involved. We never denied Venezuela's sovereignty. We never denied the United States' sovereignty. We worked diplomatically with both entities. We maintained our sovereignty and did not interfere in the foreign affairs of any of those other countries. Even with the Venezuelan migrant crisis, our government towed a very fine line between offering amnesty to immigrants, to illegal immigrants here, and at the same time attempting to put more stipulations in place to protect our borders in a particular way. So it's very important to note the role that Foreign Affairs, National Security, Office of the Prime Minister, Ministry of Energy, all of those ministries, and public civil servants as well as officials and bureaucrats, the roles that they would have all had to play to keep things on an even keel so that we would be in the position that we were in at the energy conference to sign off on this deal. And this deal is not only going to benefit Trinidad and Tobago, this deal is going to be benefiting other countries in the CARICOM area. And you had to give a jacket for things like that, because this didn't happen overnight. It wasn't VAPS. It didn't take place in a Vicky-Vi fashion. And to not want to say that this had to be something that was carefully hammered out and required careful navigation is to just be bitter. Punto final. You're just being bitter. But you know what? It has some people, so they stop. They're just bitter. So the Dragon deal was announced. And in the aftermath of the Dragon deal being announced, I would say that was the straw to break the camel's back. Why? Because the thing that would have people worried now is, here you have a sitting government that has consistently made decisions to make itself be more appealing and attractive to an electorate. And by that, I'm referring to the selection of a president and the selection of the senatorial nominee, Richie Sukai. So you have that, right? We in a situation here where the government is making an effort. I am by no means saying that the government is perfect. Get me straight here. But you are seeing the strides and the efforts that the government is making to keep itself appealing to an electorate. That the opposition is doing that. The opposition is making no effort at all to make itself appealing to anyone but its core base. And that's because it has adopted a lot of Trump-style politics, a lot of right-wing style Republican politics that focuses a lot on race, misinformation, and gaslighting. And I don't have to say it, or you could see it for yourself on a daily basis. You can see it for yourself. So they've carried on with this for a number of years. more than 5 years they've carried on with this foolishness. Easily 7 years, more than 7 years, right? We could safely say they carry on with this foolishness for 12 years. So it's been 12 years of the same kind of politics. 12 years of misinformation, 12 years of playing the race card, 12 years of gaslighting a voting population. And here you have 2023, and of course everybody counting time, right? 2023, we have a local government election due this year, and then by the time that is finished and people start to get a house in order, you're getting ready and gearing up for 2025. And if you are in a position where you are seeing that the People's National Movement has started to make moves and shifts in a particular direction, it has started to make shifts and moves to appeal more so to the moderate supporters of the United National Congress, people who quietly have an issue with the race-based politics, who quietly have an issue with the misinformation and the gutter politics that the UNC carries on with. When you start seeing that, I would have get scared. I would have get frightened. But you know what? Kamla Persad-Bissessar proved to me this week why, just now, let me take that off. Kamla Persad-Bissessar proved to me this week why she is the best PNM supporter the People's National Movement could hope for. And we have to give she a long service award. Because instead of Kamla making an effort to even try to appear like she running a Democratic Party, Kamla has instead doubled down and carried on in such a way that tells me once she is the political leader of the United National Congress, and once she remains as opposition leader, she is going to be there for life, and the People's National Movement will remain in power. And when you have an ally that is as loyal as Kamla Persad-Bissessar has been from 2015 to now, you need to give her her flowers. Because Kamla Puhar in joke, you know. Kamla has taken Puhar politics to a level of professionalism. I want all you to understand that. She has taken Puhar politics to a level of professionalism. This week, you all had the opportunity to hear a number of persons who have become peripheral to the UNC suddenly find their testicles, their ovaries, and their voice to come out and speak about a range of issues that troubling them. So let me go through what has went on this week. You know, it had another piece of news, but I ain't gonna jump into that. It go disturb the flow. So Fuad Khan and Ramona Ramdial hit we a motion. Wait, let me see. Tuesday was the dragon announcement. So this would have been Thursday, right? And so the motion is because UNC have the National Executive Council taking place today. Nobody has sent me no details yet. Actually, just now, let me check my phone. I might be wrong. I must get an update and I ain't know. Let me check. Oh, good. We gotta watch this just now. I gotta I'll go ahead and send it. Oh God. Copy the link and throw it somewhere else so we could take a look at it shortly. Right. Skeeter, she could say all kind of things. She could say it based on meritocracy, heritocracy, hypocrisy, all kind of thing. So right. So here's the oh my goodness, the word fly out my head. The petition. So the petition says, whereas the party has not been able to achieve electoral success in the past 7 years since 2015, whereas many members, former past members, former executive, founding members have all been inactive in the forward strategy of the party. Whereas the party can benefit from the experience of the aforementioned members, whereas the coalition of parties in 2010 was able to win government, be it resolved that the leadership consisting of the political leader and the NATEX find a method of approach to communicate and embrace the aforementioned groups of previous experienced members and well-wishers. Failure to develop such a plan within 3 months should result in a new internal election for NATEX without the position of political leader being contested. So Ramona and Fuad, not saying that Kamla have to go as political leader, They put out their petition and their motion, and the point of their motion is to get Kamla as leader of the party within 3 months to do something to embrace all of these people that she has estranged. So they listing in the petition the groups of people that no longer have anything to do with the party. And the first concern is that the party has not been able to be in power for 7 years. Now, Olia, there's a thing that I looked at for the last couple of days. Post after post after post. The focus was entirely on not being able to have retained power for the last 7 years. Nobody in petition, in Facebook posts, in the think pieces that they're putting up, nobody ain't talking about the reasons the United National Congress has become so unattractive. They're saying the party unattractive, the party losing supporters and its own supporters. It ain't talking about the supporters that it would have had in 2010 that have since dropped off, right? So it ain't talking about all of the people who came on as either ILP, MSJ or COP supporters. And it was sorry, not ILP. It ain't talking about the people who came on as TOP, MSJ and COP supporters. It ain't talking about them at all. Because remember, there was this whole thinking middle class, this whole third force, this whole group of persons that saw themselves as can't vote for the PNM at all, can't vote for the UNC, and they're part of this elite group of voters that are the thinking voters. Right. So Kamla has lost those votes, those voters. Nobody talking about how the UNC can become attractive to those voters. This petition is about the UNC having lost persons that were traditionally UNC voters. And Kamla the chairman of the UNC, Peter Kanhai, shuts the motion down. Now, there's a paragraph, 2 paragraphs in here I want us to look at. So let me make this real big, put this over my face, and get Olia to watch it properly. Or maybe, you know what? Just now. Wrong move. Wrong move. I'm gonna make this small. I'm gonna close this off. I'm gonna find this on something else, and we're gonna look at it there. Right, make it big. I'm gonna put that up, and then I'm gonna put my face. I see in Vaughnett and Maximilian Santiago getting on very whatless on the comment thread there. Right. So Peter Canhai, the chairman, says, I want you all to look at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're looking at paragraphs 5 and 6 here, right? Under the leadership of Mrs. Prasad Bisesa, the UNC is focused on diversity, meritocracy, and a mix of youth and competent experience. Hard work, there's that phrase, proper planning, efficient execution of tasks, promotion of new talent, and merit-based recognition are our philosophy. I see this and I say to myself, they gaslighting people again. Then the next paragraph. At this point, I realized that the burner up on the gaslight, all the way up on high. The political leader, NATEX and UNC membership. Here the trio. The political leader, the national executive, and UNC membership have unequivocally rejected the politics of caste, class, family connections, segregation, discrimination, and dynasty. All you hear that? The political leader, the same woman who just be calling people Oreo and blank man, the same woman who get up last year on a podium and talk about who have slave master name and who don't have slave master name. That same woman, she chairman says, the political leader, the national executive, and UNC membership have unequivocally rejected the politics of caste, class, family connections, segregation, discrimination, and dynasty. Let me tell you something. When you read a letter like that, you have no choice whatsoever but to give Kamala she flowers. You have no choice. You have to give Kamala she flowers. You have to give she Lifetime Achievement Award. Because that person ain't ever going to be the prime minister of anything ever again. She going to be opposition leader for life. And because we know she is there at the helm of the UNC, we clear that the People's National Movement going to hold on to power for a while. And that ain't necessarily a good thing, because in spite of my preference to the People's National Movement, I think that every single voter in this country needs to have options. I don't want to be in a position where there's only one man I could have. I want options. I want to be able to pick and choose. I want to be able to get up and say, you know what? You playing the fool. You doing too much foolishness. You see that next man there? He's scratching my itch better than you scratching my itch. So I feel I want that man instead of you. I want to be in a position where when the man I with start to play the fool, I could put him under manners. I could keep him in check. He must be worried that I go in and horn him with a next man. It must not be a situation where he could just dress back and do whatever it is he want. It must never be a situation where you feel you ain't had to do nothing and you ain't had to do better. And If this is how the UNC going to be functioning, what pressure the government really under? The government under any pressure? Look at the way they perform in the parliament. The government under any real pressure in the parliament? Kamala doesn't even know how to be an effective opposition. I've been saying this for years. 4 years. But you know what? Let me tell you something. Time really longer than twine, you know. I saying this for years, right? And people calling me all kind of thing. Political mattress, blogger, commentator, all kind of nonsense. Listen to this person and tell me if he's saying anything that I ain't saying for the last 7 years.
Dr. Rowley, while he was in opposition and when he was Prime Minister, has taken very progressive steps to try and advance the energy portfolio of this country and to take steps to meet with the multinational corporations. And you don't see, what I could say objectively is that I don't see, right? I was a member of the opposition in the Senate, right? And it is a shame for me to say that this kind of development is going on. All you could hear from the opposition is criticism, criticism, criticism. Not a plan of how we could do it better, what arrangements we would have had, what we would have done, how we could have accomplished this, right? Or anything, any idea to bring on the table and say, well, you know, the government has said they're going to do this, but perhaps they should consider this. Have you heard that from anybody?
Okay.
Dr. Rowley, while he was in opposition and when he was Prime Minister, has taken very progressive steps to try and advance the energy portfolio of this country and to take steps to meet with the multinational corporations. And you don't see, what I could say objectively is that I don't see, right? I was a member of the opposition in the Senate, right?
Are you hearing?
It's a shame for me to say that this kind of development is going on. All you could hear from the opposition is criticism, criticism, criticism. Not a plan of how we could do it better, what arrangements we would have had, what we would have done, how we could have accomplished this, right? Or anything, any idea to bring on the table and say, well, you know, the government has said they're going to do this, but perhaps they should consider this. Have you heard that from anybody?
Okay.
You gotta fix your own house before you try to fix somebody else, you know, Mr. Allen.
Well, I'm fully aware of that.
So, Olia, help me to help myself now. So, what is I was saying before when it was silent was this. Gerald Ramdeen in 1 minute and 20 seconds make more sense than all them columnists in newspapers for the last 7 years. That's the point I was making. Gerald Ramdeen in that 1 minute and 20 seconds, because all you know, it have a whole 8-minute audio clip circulating in an interview that he did with Ian Allen. And he talked about all of the things that went on with the Dragon deal and them kind of things. So as a matter of fact, I think I have a few, I'll play a few minutes of it here for you. Just now. Where is it? Let me find it. There's a long clip. Right. Give me a second, right? Right, we on that. Go to you. Right, just now.
What's happening?
Yeah, but and Ian, you know, we said this morning when we were speaking. There comes a time where you can't have everything being yellow and red, right?
True.
The country is red, white, and black. And sometimes, you know, the government of the day has always said they are very patriotic, and the opposition is not patriotic. But there are some.
Olia, help me to help myself. Help me to help myself. Olia, just hear Gerald Ramdeen talk about patriotic and who not patriotic, and so let me start it from the beginning again.
Position where we are right now globally and what's happening.
Yeah, but and Ian, you know, we said this morning when we were speaking. There comes a time where you can't have everything being yellow and red, right?
True.
The country is red, white, and black. And sometimes, you know, the government of the day has always said they are very patriotic, and the opposition is not patriotic. But there are some times that we must be able to put the politics aside and say this is something that will benefit us all as a country. And people, yes, it will always have the politics, they will always have favoritism for some and disadvantage to others, but this is something that has been worked on for years, that people have not been able to manage to bring to just a conclusion where we could say Trinidad and Tobago could benefit, and nobody can deny that. The PNM was in power under Patrick Manning, they couldn't do it. The UNC was under power in Kamala Prasad, they said they couldn't do it. And for what is worth, I am not a big supporter of Dr. Rowley, but at the end of the day, the man has been able to do something that nobody else was able to do. Right? And at the end of the day, you have a pipeline to build, you have the arrangements to work out, you have to find out how we can pay the people to get the gas, what arrangements are going to be put in place. But the announcement that the Prime Minister has made is one that can be of great benefit to the country. And we should try and say, listen, this is Trinidad and Tobago. Let me put Trinidad and Tobago first.
Listen, me know what to say again after that, you know. This is Trinidad and Tobago. Let me try and put Trinidad and Tobago first. So I'm going to say a couple things here. The UNC has always known how to do the right thing. The UNC has always been clear about what needed to be done to put country first. Always. But it wasn't expedient to the type of politics that they wanted to play. And so that's why for 12 years we couldn't get that from them. You know it is to be thinking for 12 years, but how they can't just do the right thing, boy? Something wrong with them. I'm sure plenty earlier sitting down there thinking all this time, 12 years now, only thinking something wrong with the UNC and people in the UNC. Because I just see comments from people all the time saying this in the DNA and that in the DNA and the other in the DNA, etc., etc., etc. They've always known They have always known how to do the right thing. They have always known the things that have to be done to put country first for the benefit of the country. The reason that you are now hearing all of these persons who are peripheral to the UNC, so they're no longer in the bosom of the party. They're no longer in Kamala's good books. So because they are no longer in a position where they're central to what's happening within the UNC and the decision making of the UNC, they're no longer benefiting from being at the core of the UNC. They're now free to speak and to speak sensibly, because they don't have to toe the party line. It's no longer a situation where put party before country. So these fellas, Gerald, Larry Lala, Fuad Khan, Ramona Ramdial, all of a sudden, well, not in the case of Ramona, because Ramona for the last 2 years has been writing consistently about the flaws of the United National Congress. But Larry and Gerald suddenly have found their voices and could speak out firmly and robustly against Kamala. Look at some of the things Larry would have said just this week. He said, well, I didn't agree with all of it, Some of it I could agree with. He says, I have carefully monitored and read the hundreds of comments on social media on various pages, including the pages of the newspapers that ran yesterday's front page stories that showed there was a call for Mrs. Prasad Bissessa to step down. Yesterday morning, I also appeared on 106.5 to air my respectful views about the present failed leadership of the UNC and the apparent inability of the UNC to meet the hopes and aspirations of TNT. And I listened carefully to the comments of all the persons who called in to give their views. TNT is frustrated. I would say when I saw that, I was like, there are some Trinbagonians that are frustrated at the government's inability to treat with our very serious issues of violent crime, a stagnant economy, and a general lack of vision for the future of our country. Crime touches everybody in this country. So I think we are all very tired of what goes on here with crime. But many of us, not all, many of us are clear that violent crime doesn't happen in a vacuum. And there's a lot to the crime story that we don't discuss, that we don't talk about. Stagnant economy. Seriously, we still pushing the narrative of stagnant economy. Okay, all right. General lack of vision for the future of our country. We really accusing the sitting government of having a general lack of vision. Because this is where I just begin to have my concerns. When these broad brush statements are made, and when generalizations and oversimplifications are put out there. So I get that Larry is writing to a particular audience. But let me tell you some of the things that for me this be problematic. In the last couple years, there have been a number of occasions when very nasty things were said and done by the United National Congress. I listed a couple things. So you would have had the race-based campaign in 2020, the Trinity videos. You all remember the Trinity videos? You'd have had the blank man comment. You'd have had the Oreo comment. You'd have had the slave master's name comment. You would have had the attack on Sharon Rowley last year. You all remember that disgusting attack on Mrs. Rowley? How many of these commentators who suddenly talking the talk about put country first. We're all red, white, and black. How many of them came out and openly condemned those issues? Because this is more than the Dragon Gas deal for me. This is more than Rishi Sukai's appointment for me. This is more than Christine Kangaloo's appointment. This is more than a decade of race-based, gender-based comments and attacks. You have not just the political leaders in the party. You have the leaders in the party and you have the membership in the party tightly locked in to a particular culture of attacks. Right? There is a thuggishness and a vulgarity and a crassness that comes across from the United National Congress. And there is hate. There is a whole anti-black campaign that consistently comes out of the United National Congress. So when the UNC been pushing them heads for the last however many years that you guys and girls have been active members of the party, where was your voice? Where the posts? Where the think pieces? Where the commentary from all you? Where the statements to say, Kamala, better than that. Kamala, you shouldn't be saying things like that. Kamala, country before party girl. Kamala, how you could be talking about blank man. Kamala, how you could be talking about slave master names. Kamala, better than that. Kamala, how you could allow various pages and groups and WhatsApp threads to be dragging Sharon Rowley name like that. How you could have Anil Roberts be the one to start off that rumor about Sharon Rowley. Where was all your voices? I wasn't hearing all you, and I no mean had no hearing problems. All you had a sore throat at the same time. So no, right? No. I glad that all you woke to the point that all you wake up and realize that the culture of your party has made it so unattractive that it ain't have no way all you're going to see the corridors of power anytime soon. But I don't think that the solution to all your problem is just to remove Kamala. Because removing Kamala would simply be taking lipstick off the pig. And all that will happen is that the pig ain't have on lipstick. It's still going to be a pig. So what plans do all of these persons who are finally awakened to how unattractive their party is, what plans will they have to do something about the pig? Because something needs to be done about the pig. And now let's move to the next segment. The next segment that will still be looking at the pig and the fact that this pig really need help. So, attacking Obia is a big deal within the United National Congress. As a matter of fact, attacking anything that is linked to black culture, especially African, West African culture. And so that's why I'm saying what we're going to talk about now is linked to what we were talking about before. Because that ingrained anti-black campaign that the United National Congress has been on for many years, it has gotten to the point where it's so far gone, I have no idea how anybody is going to be able to reform that. Like I said, You could take off the lipstick from the pig, but the pig's still there. So even if all you manage to remove Kamala, how are you going to deal with the quankness of the quank? Because the quank is still a quank. You see, whole time I talking about quank, all you're thinking the quank is just Kamala. No. The quank is the entire United National Congress. Right? The quank is the culture of this party. A culture of ignorance, a culture of prejudice, a culture of crassness, a culture of misinformation. How are you going to deal with that? So, there is a group that calls itself the Hive, right? And one of the people in the Hive, Nicholas Rickshaw, put up this post. Watch the post. The post, I didn't crop this properly, and it's probably a good thing. They Photoshop a picture of Camille Robinson Regis onto the body of a woman who is a practitioner of traditional African religion here, right? The person might be spiritual Baptist, the person might be Orisha. I'm not 100% certain, because a lot of the materials that they use in here, could kind of crisscross. So I'm just going to say the person is a practitioner of traditional African religious things, religious rituals. They Photoshop Camille Robinson Regis' face on the person. And then look at what they say. All that Obia can't walk on Kamala as already you lost is that you lost what? You lost your hair, Ms. Wiggy. So there are a number of things going on in that. And when you go to the Hive page, you see that there are a number of persons like UNC counselors and things that are followers on the page, right? My first problem with this meme, if that is what it is that you're attacking somebody's religious system. I would never attack anybody's religious system. Not Christianity, not Islam, not Orisha, not Baha'i, not Hinduism, nothing. I ain't attacking nobody belief system. Because when the day comes, people belief system is what is get them through the day. So me attacking it. Whether or not I understand it, whether or not I believe it myself, whether or not I practice it, me attacking nobody belief system. And you can't call yourself a Trinbagonian. You can't turn around and talk about discipline, tolerance, and production, and then you're attacking people's belief system. The next thing was the wording that talking about who lost their hair. They have a fixation with black women. They have a fixation with black women who have low-cut hair. So you see me, as much as I could grow out my hair long to whatever length, I'm keeping it short. Because I want all you to continue to have all the fixation with women, black women with short hair. Because you see, all it does properly well reveal a lot of all the internal insecurities. Black women with short hair, really? That's where you're going to unleash your anger and venom on? Okay, all right. Continue. Play all your mass. So that was that. But then there was this as well. And let me make sure. And you see, when I see that video, all I will say Jai Shri Hanuman. Glory to Hanuman. And you know why? The United National Congress is a political party whose voting base comes from the East Indian descended population of Trinidad and Tobago. The East Indian descended population of Trinidad and Tobago is made up of a number of religious systems. Notably, we have East Indians who practice Christianity. We have East Indians who practice Islam, and the majority of the East Indian population in Trinidad and Tobago practice Hinduism. Hinduism has, or at least the Hinduism that is practiced in Trinidad and Tobago, is practiced by 7 different sects. SECTS. So we have a range of Hinduism that is practiced here. You have Mahasabha Hinduism, you have Vedic Hinduism, you have Arya Samaj Hinduism, you have Kabir Panth Hinduism, you have Shakti Hinduism, and I've forgotten the others, right? I've forgotten, but I can review it and find out. But I know for certain that we have 7 different sects of Hindus in Trinidad and Tobago. For the Hindu sect that considers itself to be the largest orthodox group of Hindus here, the Mahasabha, Hanuman, a deity whose earthly manifestation is in the form of a monkey, or a man with a monkey's head. Yes, correct, Leon. Swaha. I forgot about Swaha. So, Hanuman, an important deity. When Diwali comes around, there's the Ram Leela, the story of the Ram Leela. The Ram Leela does run for 14 days in every major Hindu community in this country. 14 days. And the Ram Leela is a big deal because in that 14-day period, the whole village just come out to watch the performance of the Ram Leela. One of the big things in the performance of the Ram Leela is Hanuman's appearance to assist with helping the hero and the heroine, the star boy and the star girl of the Ram Leela, right? Ram and Sita, helping them to escape, and he builds the bridge to Ayodhya. Hanuman have a big role to play in the story of Diwali. Whenever you get a chance, go and take in the Ram Leela, right? So here you have a religious system and the concept of a deity that resembles or that has the head of a monkey is central and important to this religious system. This religious system also preaches, as one of its tenets, tolerance and kindness towards animals, right? Because reincarnation is a serious thing in Hinduism. You could die and come back in many different forms. So, as a Hindu, you are meant to treat everything around you with respect and deference. When a Hindu says namaste to a person, namaste means the God in me, or the God energy in me, greets and recognizes the God energy in you. So imagine a political party who represents an ethnic community here who has some of the largest numbers of Hindus in that community supporting the political party, using the concept of the monkey to insult and attack black people. The next time anybody from the UNC calls you a monkey or calls you an ape or sends you pictures of monkeys or apes or bananas, all I want you to do is say to them, Jai Shri Hanuman. That's all. It have nothing else that we need to say to anybody that thinks that the worst thing they could do is call us a monkey. So folks, that's where I'm going to wrap it up. I hope you all had yourselves a good week. I hope all you enjoy all our tech guy artwork, because of course, you know, we dress up the Prime Minister to look like M'Baku. Because I felt after that disgusting video, I needed to do something to take the taste out of that disgusting video, to take the taste out of my mouth of that disgusting video. So I preferred this image of the Prime Minister looking like M'Baku. So, what I can tell you, Jai Shri Hanuman. So, I'm looking to wrap up. A couple things, or maybe one thing. In the aftermath of all of this foolishness that went on with the United National Congress this week, I felt that there isn't anything further that I need to say about our politics for a little bit. I think the UNC has shown its whole self, its true self, its porous self. I think we now know, they have established for us that they know how to do differently. They know how to do the right thing, and they've actively chosen to not do the right thing, to be abusive, to gaslight the rest of us when they know exactly how to be citizens of Trinidad and Tobago. Somebody sent me a link while this thing was going on, and it was to show their thuggish behavior at Natex. What did I do with the link? I thought kill me dead. I posted the link to. Give me a second. I really want to see what is went on in the Natex. Oh no, I put the link in the wrong place just now. Right, let me try and watch it. Oops, just now. Let me. Right. Just now, I'm not getting this other camera to. Right.
This is a very disturbing aspect of our democracy because I represent the thousands of carry workers who were never given their visa. Kamala Prasad said she was placed in position 2010 to 2015 with all of us protesting in her, for her, worshipping her. We do love Kamala Prasad, but we do also believe that she is not going to take the party forward. Our children are suffering. We need to migrate from Trinidad and Tobago. We cannot even come out of our houses. And we need strong, ethical, young leaders to take us forward. We do not need a party that is suppressing the views that we have. We need to be heard. We support Kamala. We know that we support Kamala. Good evening. Kamala, nobody. Nobody else. Kamala, nobody else. Kamala, nobody else. This is not the breakup. Why are you touching the man? Why are you pushing him? Why are you pushing him? Why are you pushing him? He pushing him. He's pushing him. No. Nobody.
Eyes have it. You know, we're quickly into our second motion. There's a note from the two confederations. I call on Chairman Prakash undemocratic process. The people of Trinidad cry out for accountability. In keeping the government to account. Mr. Chairman, press briefing, online presentation, non-fiction, on the newspapers, MPs, senators in parliament, councillors,
nasty work.
court matters, and events of citizens, presence of public consultations, to represent national
packages have not been delivered. Up to this day, we are begging every email it is not right. She is persecuting our people and our children are suffering.
even appearing on meetings, on radio meetings and television shows. By doing this, the UNC.
Hey y'all, what's up? It's Friday, so I'm gonna keep it black, but I'm gonna keep it brief. Now, Ron, you sound like a...
Oh, good. Well, yes. Well, yes. All your shame. A shame because I don't understand what does allow people to let themselves be used in a particular way, one. And two, to look at the way in which we treating each other. Because everybody down there, the same political party. So how will you reach the point where in the midst of being from the same political party, only assaulting one another. That's thuggish behavior. Anyhow, folks, have a good week. Somebody asked me, what does Jai Shri Hanuman mean? It means glory to Hanuman. It's, entirely respectful. I don't say disrespectful things about people's religion. And I'm just pointing out, anybody want to call you a monkey? Remind them that monkeys are revered things in Hinduism. Alright? In the meantime,
Indian gal. Indian gal.
Enjoy all the carnival season. And I'll see you all next week.